Hello everybody, welcome back to another video about dissociative. Wait. Well, I mean, yeah, but also no. Hello everybody, welcome back to another video by Dissociative. Today we're going to be talking about masking and unmasking, especially as a DID system. As most of you will know, DID is a covert disorder. Some people's DID can present in an overt manner, but as a disorder in itself, DID is a defense mechanism. It's a protection that your brain has developed in order to keep you and your system safe. The way it does that is through amnesia. So generally, almost all alters will be able to mask. And that means that we're all able to appear as the host. And the host is whoever fronts most often, who most people will know. Now, this will vary from system to system, but at least in our system, every alter in our system can act as now me, or as whatever Chloe should be. Chloe is our birth name, so people who don't know that we have DID will just be introduced to us as Chloe. This is a deeply ingrained, inbuilt skill that is present in all the alters in our system. Some alters can do it better than others, but everybody is able to do it to some extent. That is how people go unaware that they themselves have DID, and that other people in their life go unaware that they have DID for such long periods of time. So, pretending that you are average or neurotypical is called masking in this circumstance. When alters mask, they often mask to be the host. This can happen with physical illnesses too. You mask to pretend that you're fine, that you're okay. When your social battery is low, you can mask and pretend that, you're having a great time and that you're absolutely fine, and inside you're just like, oh my god, my social battery is so low, I'm so tired, I need to go home. Same with pain. It's present in lots of different aspects of life, but specifically with neuroatypical people. Hi gorgeous, have you come to film with me? There's not really much room for you up there, my darling. Hi. Thank you for... You alright? A lot of people see representations of DID and other disorders online, and the first thing they'll think is, that's not how my friend looks, or that's not how it looks in real life, offline. You are not in control of your environment, you're not in control of your space, and you don't necessarily know what's going to happen next. Unmasking is a skill, and learning to unmask is actually really, really difficult. It's so inbuilt in us to pretend that we are one person. Not even think about it. Part of our safety. If there's even the tiniest bit of discomfort or slight unsure vibes, anything that is not 1,000,000%, 100% confirmed, safe, in control, we will immediately go straight to masking. It's our default. Our default is to mask as the host. And again, I can only speak from my experience as my system, but I know that other systems do feel this way too. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be representative of everybody with DID, but our experience can't possibly represent an entire community because we're just one system. Something that is kind of beautiful and wonderful about having online social media spaces, especially in communities where it's accepted that you have DID. You can be open and honest about who you are as an individual, as an alter, knowing that it's okay to let that mask drop and be as much yourself as you would be in a perfectly safe world where only you were there, or how you would be inside. That's wonderful. But even then, it's hard to drop the mask. It was really hard when Chloe and the others started filming for Dissociative to, even on camera, in our own space, where only we were in the room, most of the time only us in the house, apartment, wherever we were at the time, knowing fully that we were completely in control. If we didn't like the footage, or we didn't feel comfortable with it, no one would ever see it. We could delete it, we could edit it however we want to. It was completely fine and safe, and it was still so hard to learn how to drop that mask and be ourselves as we were on camera, even if it wasn't going to be put online. My gorgeous girl. Oh, say hello. There's a Serafina cameo for you. Who's a baby girl? Are you gorgeous? Are you gorgeous? Are you gorgeous girl? Are you gorgeous? Yes you are. Hey Serafina. What you doing? Oh my god. I think that when people see other people having those safe spaces for themselves online and being able to be themselves as the alters that they are, rather than having to mask as somebody that they're not, their host, as they would have to in every other part of life, people look at it and say, well, this is a poor representation of the disorder because it's not what you would see if you were walking past a DID system on the street. You might think that, oh, well, it would be what you'd see if you were like close friends with somebody. Not always. So we have a group of close friends who we've known since we were in high school. They fully know about our DID. One of our best friends was there while we were learning that we had DID, and there through the hugely tumultuous time when none of us really knew what was going on, met the littles who didn't know where they were in university, dealt with the alters who wanted to end their lives and end the body's lives, and is fully aware that we're a system, right? Those people are fully accepting and loving of us, and they always have been, and we are so lucky to have them in our lives. But even around them, it is really hard to unmask. Even for us who are online talking about how if people don't accept you, they shouldn't be in your life. The DID is nothing to be ashamed of, that it's an incredible defensive coping mechanism that kept you alive. And yes, it's a horrible disorder to have. And so many horrific things come with it. And we wouldn't wish it on anybody. But it's not something that you should need to hide if you feel safe, if you know you're safe and around safe people. But that doesn't make it easy. And even for us, and this is our job, we willingly put our face and our system online to try and help other people. People in our life know about it. People we don't even know about it. And still, when we're out for a meal or something with our friends, and we're aware that we've switched, or we're aware that we're going to switch, we won't unmask. We will still pretend to be, now, Kaya. Because there's still that fear. And it runs so deep. And it's uncomfortable sometimes to have to interrupt a conversation or be like, yeah, it's actually me now. And it's extremely vulnerable to be open about who you are. Especially when you know that it's not considered to be normal. And it does just feel dangerous, even in situations where you know you're safe, even with people you know you're safe. It's rough. That's why it's wonderful to have a way online, whether it be in a group chat, whether it be TikTok or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or wherever it is that you feel safe, Tumblr, anywhere where it's just a space within your control where you can exist. Because masking, as much as it is inbuilt and ingrained and default, at least to us, is tiring and it hurts not to be seen as yourself. It's hard living someone else's life, not having the friendships and the relationships that you want with you as yourself, where people see you and look at you and know you're not this body. You're something completely different. Being online and in these spaces, in these tiny clips of videos or text posts, we're just allowing ourselves to unmask. But when you are seeing alters who have created safe spaces to be themselves and let down that mask, which is hard and takes a lot of practice, and people say, that makes me uncomfortable. This alter seems stereotypical, or this alter looks fake, or this is too much. This isn't what you'd see on the street. This isn't a good representation because it doesn't fit what it would look like in a day-to-day life in a coffee shop. All you're doing is telling that person that them being themselves and not masking for their own safety makes you uncomfortable. Another assumption people make about switches and alters and masking and unmasking is that we always know who's fronting, and we don't. Honestly, the majority of the time, we're blendy to some extent, where either there are multiple people in co-con or nearby the front, or you just can't tell who you are. There is a massive sense of identity confusion, or you're just so dissociated that you can't even look deep enough into yourself or think about, who am I? Because you can't think about anything. It's all just fog. Just dissociative fog. And you don't know who you are. You don't know what you like. You don't know what your name is. You don't know what you look like. You don't know what your hobbies are. You don't know what memories you have. You don't know what you know, but barely know where you are sometimes. That's scary. Just because some of us, like us, sit down and film videos when we do know who we are, doesn't mean that we therefore know who's fronting all the time in our normal life. There's a lot of stuff that you won't see on camera, and that goes for all content creators. When we sit down to film a video, we don't think, oh yes, well, we'll film a video of Mara today and sit down and switch to Mara. It does not work like that. The reason it takes us so long to make videos, even requested videos, is because we often have to wait until we do know who we are, that somebody is firmly settled in front, and that we're not physically unwell, that we're not in high amounts of physical pain, that we're not extremely dissociated, that we're not triggered, that we're not recovering from triggers. If a particular alter does need to be fronting for a video, let's say a Meet the Alters video, or a video that somebody particularly wanted to make themselves, we have to wait until that alter fronts on their own. We don't use positive triggers for videos or anything like that. We have in the past, I think twice, but we don't do that anymore. And you just have to wait. And sometimes an alter will be in the front, and yeah, they probably want to film a video or something like that, but they'll forget. Or they're busy doing their job, doing their role, keeping us safe, helping us live life, getting us through physical illness, getting us through abuse, trauma, getting us through the flashbacks and the physical illnesses and the pain and daily life, cleaning the house, handling legal things. And filming a video isn't as urgent. We sit down and film when an alter is around, available, happily settled in front, and ready to do that. That doesn't mean that that's our norm. We can be influenced to make particular videos when particular alters are fronting. A lot of it is improvised and made on the fly. Somebody will be out and feel okay and be like, oh, I want to film a video. This has happened recently. We'll make a video on this, and sit down and film it. That doesn't mean that behind the camera we're walking around at all times of day knowing certainly who's out. Or even masking when we're in our own house. We do that. Sometimes we'll talk to people on the phone, like voice messages. We do voice messages a lot. And we'll be halfway through leaving a voice message and be like, why am I doing that voice? I don't need to mask with you. You know who I am. Why am I masking right now? Like, even if you're talking to another DID system, it's so automatic. Creating safe spaces is important for people to learn how to unmask. It's difficult to let down those barriers. Who was that? It's difficult to let down those barriers, even when you're on your own. It takes time and it takes practice. Don't expect that everybody is going to be a perfect mirror of what you see on YouTube or on TikTok, where people have a designated, safe, controlled space to let that mask down and learn how to be themselves. Out there in the real world, it can be a completely different thing. I can guarantee you that if an alter or a system doesn't want you to know who's fronting or is masking, then unless you know them really, really well, or they really want you to know, you would have no idea who's actually there. And that's why we've made this video. My name is Jade, and I've been filming since the beginning. It's a big part of my role in order to keep the system safe. I rarely front as myself. I front to keep an eye on things, be aware of what's happening outside, and make sure that my system, my host, my friends, and those under my protection are safe. I front while masking to gather information, and often, if I front, they will not know that they are missing time. A YouTube channel, a TikTok channel, other social medias are not representative of the daily life of any content creator. This is likely not what you would see, unless we were exceptionally close and knew you were a safe person. Even around friends we have known for over a decade, we will still mask around them. As I said earlier in the video, we generally don't even unmask around friends. What you see online is not always going to be a perfect representation of what you'd see offline. Kaya often deals with the fear of unmasking incorrectly. When hosts deal with feeling as though they are faking, which is common with DID and OSDD, they worry that when they unmask, people will realize in their mind that something is wrong, that they'll somehow do it wrong, that their experience of how their DID presents in them will be seen as it is and seen to be wrong. It is all right to struggle to unmask. Struggling to unmask is a sign that you're not faking. If you were faking, it would be easy for you to let down this metaphorical mask, for you to choose who to be, when you wanted to, wherever you wanted to, at whatever time and place is convenient for you. The fact that you can't, the fact that you struggle, lends itself to DID being a defense mechanism built so deeply into your consciousness in order to keep you safe and protect you, that it is hard to let down the walls that have always been part of your mind, that are there to keep you and the people you love safe. Unmasking is a skill. It takes time, dedication, practice, and bravery. I don't front for frivolous reasons. I don't front for fun. I have a high-stress job and a lot of responsibilities. But I do feel it is important to talk about things like this and the way that ableism impacts how people view DID and OSDD, which I believe is now being renamed to PDID or partial DID. A lack of understanding can influence the way people view unmasking on social media and in real life. If somebody switches in front of you and decides not to mask, that's an honor. And it is your responsibility to treat them positively, kindly, with support, dignity, and respect. DID is not a role-playing game. It's born from repeated childhood trauma. It's a dark disorder that is difficult for those with it and the people who are around them. Setbacks are common. Learning to live healthily with this disorder is hard, but possible. When people take steps to unmask, that is something that should be celebrated. It's an achievement and a skill that can be honed over time. For some, it may come easier than others. And if you are able to unmask easily, that is just as valid. But for those who struggle, we see you. And in at least one way, you are like us. Thank you for your time. I hope that this was informative, and that is all I have to say. Lots of love, everybody. Goodbye.